I am Damonous. Jesus is my king. You are my family. Hello, I am Damonous. Thank you for joining. It seems that as much as I might have been interested in with this channel and focusing on world politics, U.S. politics, and religion themes, there's been so much lately impacting my hometown, Cleveland. And today, there's a big news splash with Tamir Rice's mother, Samaria Rice, making a highly politicized statement about the mayoral candidates. The way the system works is you go to a pre-ballot, if you will, and everyone votes. And in Cleveland, the candidates with the two highest votes in this primary, regardless of party, get on the election in November, on the ballot in November for selection. So, out of a large group of candidates, we only can choose from two: the incumbent mayor, Mayor Frank Jackson, and his challenger, Zach Reed, councilman. Before we start into the story, I think it's important to look at the background with Tamir Rice. And I think there's probably a lot of people who know the story, at least on the across the country, at least on the edges. But I don't know how many people have actually watched the video all the way through. Now, this is young 12-year-old Tamir Rice at the park where he was shot. This is beforehand. This is much beforehand, 5-7 minutes beforehand. You can see he's aiming his toy gun at some passerby. Now the video next picks up to see him actually antagonizing some poor passerby. And you can see he's playing with his toy gun, acting gangster, essentially, with the passerby. Now, the interesting thing of note in this video is there's actually someone over here, right? It looks to be like an adult. I don't know. It's hard to say. But I guess the point I'm going to ask is, why didn't this person not come up and say something like, "Hey kid, stop scaring people"? Because that's what happened. One thing to note, as you might be wondering here, is, well, it's just a toy gun. You know, why would anyone be concerned about that? This is an actual picture of a real gun next to the toy gun, the air gun that Tamir Rice was using. And even for me, it's hard to tell the difference on these two. I think this is the toy gun here, and this is the real gun. But they look very, very similar, even on a picture that I'm able to look at and study. So I can see where people might have been truly concerned, and that's where the 911 call came in. And it might have even been concerned from the standpoint of, hey, you know, someone's going to consider that this is real, and they're going to shoot back. You know, it might have been from the aspect of protecting him. And there is some to that, because the 911 caller said it was potentially a toy gun. They weren't sure. That information was never relayed to the cops who responded. Now here again, this is about 4 minutes into the video. Again, we see him kind of meandering about, and then we'll see a point here where off to the left, you must be seeing someone over here. And you'll see him also, once he discovers someone else right here, aiming towards their way, and even walking towards them as if to scare them. Now we're approaching the tragic part of the video. As you can see here, there's a large part of this video where Tamir decides to sit down on the bench where that other person used to be and just kind of hang out. Some reports say he was on a cell phone. In any case, you got to watch real close here. It's going to be in the next 10 seconds or so. You'll see the cops pull up. Now, this is important to watch this part, because you see he's getting up. He's obviously seeing the car that's about to come. So he's getting up from the bench. Now look, it seems to me like he has his toy gun in hand when the cops come up. And this is where, yes, they shoot him right away. So the thing about this is there's a lot of conjecture about what the cops did in their sworn statements. Now, their sworn statements don't seem to match correctly exactly with the video, but then it might be the context, because there's nothing that says that they couldn't have had their window on the passenger side down when they were over here shouting at him. So here's a little bit from Samaria, and I'll let you watch the whole thing. I'll give you links underneath the video to watch it all at your will. But some key points here.
Very dismayed and disgusted to learn that Zachary said he was extremely honored to be endorsed by the Cleveland Police Patrol Association and its nasty, awful president, Steve Damonous. It is not about being anti-police. I'm grateful for the police officers who keep us safe every day.
Well, if that's true, then why would you say it's not an honor to have the backing of the Police Patrolmen's Association? Kind of goes against the thought there, doesn't it?
But to put it simple, the union's current leadership acts like white supremacists. They do not believe that Black Lives Matter. They have said so, sorry. They always try to change the phrase to all lives matter.
So I'm also confused by this, because this has been going on in the country for some time. All lives matter being some sort of negative connotation. I believe statistically there are more white people killed in the United States of America in cop killings than black people. Proportionately, it may be higher for black people. I'm not saying this is nothing to be concerned about, but I'm saying that the whole concept is Black Lives Matter has become the name of a violent and disruptive movement, if you will, to undermine all other parts of this country, including very simple things like saying it's an honor to have the political backing in a mayoral race for Cleveland. I would think if I was running for mayor, I would certainly think it an honor to have Patrolmen's Association support me. I don't know what's the better honor. Veterans Association, that'd be a good honor. Is that bad too? I don't know anymore. I really don't know. Because this is confusing from a common sense standpoint.
After Zachary heard about my scheduled press conference, he told the media this past weekend that he offers his sympathy for my loss. Please spare Zachary. If you were sympathy were sincere and you actually cared about my grief, then you would not have said that you were extremely honored to be.
So here, obviously a prepared statement, obviously not written by her. This is clearly, and when they bring in the NFL on different things like this, and Donald Trump, this is clearly politically motivated. This isn't about race. I'm not going to deny. She's a mother, lost her son. I can't imagine that. But to point the fingers everywhere else as a parent, I would be looking at myself in the mirror if I were her. Every day of my life, every day that I had left would be an albatross on my neck, thinking, how did I fail my son that I let him think it was cool, that I let him think it was something to do, to go in public and threaten people with a toy, and to, when the cops come up, not to stand down, not to fall to the ground but to actually head towards them full on. I hate this situation. Our country, our people being torn apart one after the other, and the media just feeding off of it. This situation smacks to me of organized chaos, organized politicking, because, you know, you've got a Democratic mayor who's been in office for 8 years. I don't know if he's so great. He's giving a lot of money away. And really what we need to look at is Mr. Jackson's history, because she's saying Zach Reed is the big problem, the guy who happens to be running against Frank Jackson. Something that happened on Mayor Jackson's watch, and I mentioned it in a prior video regarding LeBron James' statements recently about the NFL players and such, and the social justice problems. Melissa Williams, Timothy Russell, two people who fled in a car from police that culminated in a 63 police car chase throughout the city at high speeds, resulting in their summary execution, 24 shots each to these people who were actually turned out to be unarmed. This to me was a clear-cut case of police negligence and just total lack of control. And Mike DeWine, the Ohio Attorney General, produced a report. And this is an investigation released today. Reveals in detail for the first time the confusion and disorder during the chase and in the parking lot. Mike DeWine says, normally we would make nothing at this point public. However, there's nothing normal about this case. Years later, in 2016, so this is like, I think, 3 years after that, 6 Cleveland police officers were fired, 6 suspended for roles in the deadly chase. So in this situation, Frank Jackson took the easy way out. He promoted his chief of police, who was under investigation at the time for this incident, and 100 officers involved, 137 shots fired, and the 2 unarmed people dead. He promoted him to safety director to get him out of the way, brought a new deputy chief in as chief of police. So he didn't really stand against this. He kind of enabled it. So if you're a Clevelander, you're voting, vote for the other guy. If you want something to change in the city, less violence. Another interesting thing with Frank Jackson is that when the Department of Justice got involved in this situation with the 63 car chase and investigating police over aggressiveness, right? Mayor Jackson echoed the chief. We asked for them to do the report. We cooperated with them. Now I'm trying to bring calm and stability to the process to get this right. Jackson made headlines and drew considerable criticism by insisting problems outlined in the Department of Justice report were not systemic, despite his extraordinarily blunt conclusion that the trust between the Cleveland Division of Police and many of the communities it serves is broken. The report called for a cultural shift at all levels to change and a us against them mentality we too often observed. In an interview last week, Jackson said his critics were missing the point. So I'm not missing the point. This is all politics today with Samaria Rice. It's very sad. As Zach Reed has said, it is a truly sad day in politics when the senseless killing of a 12-year-old child is used as political ammunition. Can't be said easier than that. It's a sad day when people are propping up the mother of that child to do their political dirty work. You know, I really don't think Zach Reed stands that great a chance to run for mayor of this city. Mayor Jackson is such a big name in this city. But who knows? Guy's got a colorful history, drunk driving arrests and everything, but you never know. God is always watching. And God always sees the wicked and the way they work. And his hand is greater than theirs. Thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Catch me on these alternate media sources.